All right, the passage of the quote-unquote elusive petroleum industry bill. The key question here for Dolapo Oni, head of energy research at EcoBank Development Corporation, was, is this a done deal? Yesterday, just before the 7th legislature adjourned synodai or indefinitely, the new session will be taking place in the next 1 or 2 days. They passed the petroleum industry bill, controversial, been on the table for more than 6 years, close to 8 years, and is now transcending 2 administrations, now into the 3rd. So let's put this question. Dolapo, thank you very much for coming. Let's just get straight to business.
Okay.
So the quick question, is this a done deal?
And definitely not. It's not a done deal. Both, we need to put this into context. We're talking about a bill here that tries to harmonize 22 different petroleum legislations into one. We're talking about a bill that has 312 sections, 438 clauses. It's a big document. It's something I share the same sentiment with Bismarck. This is a bill that can't pass as one single document. No matter how you try to slice the bread, you have to possibly split the bill into various parts and then consider passing it in stages. I mean, they looked at various sections before they passed the law yesterday. They made some very interesting amendments. I'll talk about some of those in detail.
Committee.
Yes, the committee, yes. Some of the amendments, let me just talk about them. Some of them were including areas like they took out the president's power to allocate oil blocks. You look at section 174, they amended the definition of host community.
And that now
exactly.
broadens to beyond United Delta.
Typically,
to
include the definition used to be communities where there was oil production activity.
Oil exploration.
Oil exploration.
Now that includes where refineries are located.
Refineries are working.
And that includes Kaduna.
Exactly.
And where the pipelines also
where
pass
the pipelines
through.
are located. So, I mean, states that have absolutely no oil production activity, but you have a pipeline, major pipeline passing through, automatically become affected by the host community. Or will benefit from the host community fund. So it widens it. It widens the bracket, and it also and what is not also clear in the technical aspect of that is, does that also mean that companies that own those pipelines definitely also have to contribute into that fund? Because that would also widen the net.
The cost, yeah.
That also increases costs for other companies that are not directly involved in oil production, but maybe provide some services, provide some pipeline installation. Does it also widen the net of the companies that also have to contribute into that pool? That's something that's also going to be affected. So there were some arguments, particularly about that definition, and it's something that, I mean, on various forums, it's still a topic of discussion.
Let's take this conversation, perhaps one after the other. Yes, now. Based on what was passed yesterday, the president, no other president, henceforth, if the current president approves, will have no powers to allocate oil blocks. That's major. That's significant.
Exactly. That's a major.
Should Nigerians clap and say thank you for that?
You see, the thing is, if you compare oil regulations across the region, and because this is what we cover across the region, we cover sub-Saharan Africa. It's something you find in almost most regulations, that the president has some powers to actually allocate some blocks, and most of the time those are for strategic reasons. It's not a very well-used power. It's not something you find very often, but the tendency for it to be abused is there, and that's what I think the House was a bit worried about, because yes, in the past it has actually been abused, and we've seen various people end up with oil blocks, with have absolutely no expertise or knowledge about the business. So that's something that they were trying to excise, so they literally just cut that off. I think that was section 49. And then it's if you look for that, I think a key thing they did, which I like, is the fact that I hope it's sustained. I think section 174, 185, NNPC is to be privatized. 30% of it must be listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. NGC, the Nigerian Gas Company, also is to be privatized, 49% to be listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That's actually a move forward for the PIB.
And you think those are some of these are some of the provisions or processes for transparency and accountability in the oil and gas sector.
Exactly.
Talking about our own NNPC, the National Oil Corporation.
Exactly. I think that's a step forward towards the transparency we're trying to achieve in the NNPC, because essentially, I think part of what has made the NNPC so opaque to most people is the fact that It's all government controlled. It's all government owned. So there's no need to publish any accounts. I mean, you can read Sonangol's accounts. You can read accounts
Petrobras,
of Petrobras. You can
Petronas
read
in Malaysia,
various,
Indonesia. And
I'm even talking about Sonangol, our dearest Angola nearby here. So you can see those accounts published. So it's important also too that we get that level of transparency in NMPC, and it will actually attract investment. You know, get the same level of transparency in NGC as well, it will attract investment. So that's what I think that achieved. And I think it's something that the new president may want to sustain, because it actually ties in with his particular objective to create transparency in that sector. So it may actually be something that will encourage them to look at it a lot faster.
What do you think the industry, the oil industry, really wants when it comes to this PIB? Bismarck talked about incentives, but is it just all about incentives? Yes, these are business folks. All they want is pay a little cost, get more revenue. That's what business is all about. However, Nigerians, 160 million Nigerians, are more concerned about what comes to the government from the oil companies, whether they are IOCs or the LOCs.
Yes. You see, I like to use one word or two words, a phrase, fiscal flexibility. That's what the IOCs want. I mean, for Nigeria, it's quite different. Nigerians want revenue. They want government to spend, because when government spends, it creates jobs. It creates income.
Social infrastructure.
It creates social infrastructure. It makes life standards a lot better. So revenue is clearly what we want. So clearly the government wants to increase its revenue from PIB. But what the IOCs want is fiscal flexibility. And we need to give them that. Because again, like he said, like Bismarck said, when we're talking about a different market here, the global oil market has changed significantly. You see, I had a chance to sit down with some data yesterday, because we're speaking somewhere. And between 2010 and 2014, the market has changed drastically. Countries that were literally selling all of their crude oil to America, places like Colombia, places like Nigeria, have been locked out of the market, need to find new markets. Even Russia, which sells most of its oil to Europe, now has to find new markets in Asia, because the Europe's situation hasn't improved, and it's actually shrinking in terms of what they're ordering from Europe. So everybody's targeting the country. So we have to create an attraction for investors to actually come and invest in our oil market, and because most of the oil that we want to bring on stream in the next 3 years are from offshore fields. Within 2015 and 2018, there are about 12 projects that are meant to contribute about 888,000 barrels per day. Most of these projects are going to be led by the IOCs. So they need the right terms to actually invest and bring those assets upstream.
I'm sure